Let's start that discussion that we're talking about, and I'm actually just trying to see if there's already some feedback coming through on this. We're talking about the need for people to somehow just floss online, in as much as that may not really be the reality on the ground. And by the way, younger people are now living unrealistic lives because they want to impress people sometimes who they don't even know. Let me bring in my guest now. Agnes Nonsinzi is here, award-winning publicist and media practitioner. Frasha, recording artist, is also here, and Pastor Kiama. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning, guys. And Pastor Kiama, I'll start with you. What drives the need, do you think, for the people to look successful, especially the young people? I know they speak to you a lot, even in church. What makes them feel that they need to look a certain way so that they are accepted?
I think it seems to me that every human being wants to be accepted, wants to be loved. Every human being, has something in their lives that craves for attention. And there are many ways one can get that. And nowadays with social media, with certain gifts, certain talents, people then have that need to want to be accepted by society, to want to be accepted by more people. I think that's what drives people. Comes out of a legitimate need, but can go the other way.
But it is the standard, Pastor Kiama, that I'm concerned about. What makes people think that they will only be needed or wanted if they are rich? Can't it be about spiritual leadership? Can't it be about something else rather than material wealth?
Well, there are many things. I mean, and it's not just, it's not just spiritual leadership or spiritual togetherness, I think, is or spiritual wholeness is obviously, the epitome of that. But there are other things as well people should be thinking about. Meaningful relationships, for example, a purposeful life. As well. But a lot of this is what is modeled for us by certain people. All kinds of people model wealth, model riches. Let me even say, even some of the language that we use as the church can be misleading. Let me say some of the language some of our leaders use can be misleading, where we equate being blessed with having material wealth. But it is a society-wide thing. It's not just what you see in the church. It's a society-wide thing.
Actually, I'll pursue that point in just a bit, the issue of the churches and sometimes having misleading language. But let's bring in Frasha on this. Frasha, for people in your section in the entertainment, it's just entertainment, right? I mean, some artists don't even live in the houses that they show. They don't even drive the cars that they have in the videos. But then the young people want to be like them. Do you explain it to them that this is just art? It's not the way you're supposed to live?
Personally, I think people have they've missed the issue about social media, and it's become now like a marketing media. If I'm seen to have a few followers, if I post asubuhi niamke nivae tunguo nipige picha ni TikTok, and then I see marketers coming to my page, and so it's become a marketplace, and everybody is just trying to outdo each other. Not knowing that some of the things we do, they're just it's called showbiz, it's show business. And so some of the things that we're doing is just for the show. So watu wengine wanakujuaga wanachukulia. There's a song we did, it's called Chocha. In Chocha I say, majina noma tu kwenye IG, hazifanani tu kwenye ID. Wanajifanyaga ma VIP na mtaani ni ma IDP. Daily wanakata maji na keja yake ilikatwa maji, Basically, it's just to show that social media, most of the things that we show on social media, is just show business. And so this generation has taken it far and they have taken it seriously. And so it's easier for a young person to go eat and get for a very expensive place to eat, take a photo before eating of the food, take a photo of where they're sitting, and they will never show whoever is paying the bills. Hapo ndio shida inatokeaga. Masponsor wanashonagi.
Atao tokei kwa picha. But then, how do we then, Agnes? Agnes, then how do we recalibrate the society to see that they don't have to live a certain way? And mostly just to appreciate the process.
Yeah. So actually, for me, it's not. You can live that way, but at the right time. To be honest, you can't be living such a life in your 16, 15, even in your 20s. Some of us are at a certain age and we're not living like that. And like Frasha has said, it's for the gram. It's for what you see. And the nature of the show business, the entertainment, the influencers, the people in this media space, you need to look a certain way for you to attract a certain client. And I remember I was telling my friend yesterday, you can't look like you want to go to a client and pitch for $1 million deal, but you look like you can't even handle 1 shilling. So some of those people who do this, they are actually attracting money. They're in business, my friend. You have to hire the car because you know it will bring that back money in an year or whatever time. So don't believe everything that you see. And also for like the socialite, if I may say, if you look at the definition of the socialite in the dictionary, it's someone who has been born in wealth. You're born there, like you're swimming there, not like you're trying to look like you want to belong there. So let's also normalize talking about the process. Just if you're a young person, just go back and do a little background check on Frasha. Where did Frasha start? Before he became Frasha and started shooting at now maybe big hotels, where was he shooting before? Maybe in the Ubandos, Just find out and you will see it's a journey. Even for these artists, even for them, it's a journey. Let's normalize the process.
Okay. Pastor Kiama, let me bring you back to this an issue of normalizing the process, because we've seen this even in church, Pastor Kiama, where, and you had mentioned it earlier on, that sometimes the language can be misleading. Some of the things that the preachers tell you, that you will be you're only blessed utaendesha gari kubwa, you'll have a Range Rover, utanunua nyumba, utaolewa. Our parameters of blessing are very material.
And just like any human institution or any institution where there are humans, one of the things that we have seen with the church as well is that there has been a failure of the way people understand how God works in one's life. I think what has been mentioned is a good point. There's a process. And so, when I'm sitting in this hotel or driving this kind of car or being seen near this kind of car, and I put a hashtag there, hashtag blessed, and then your pastor also stands next to a car like this and uses the same hashtag, all of a sudden what we are doing is that we are modeling, the people that we look up to are modeling this. We see it with politicians as well. We see it, I guess, with artists as well of different kinds. And so that is an error. I think one would need to look at the vast majority. This is not every pastor that is like this, regardless of what social media says. There are people that live out the process. There are people that have a healthy perspective of what God's blessing is. Yes, God does want you to live a good life. That does want you to live a life of health, but that is not it. There are other things that are way more important, the relationships, your spiritual health, your mental health, those kinds of things that really matter when you're 40, 50, 60, the things that people will be saying in your eulogy when you've gone hopefully to be with the Lord.
All right, let's bring Frasha. Let me bring you in back on this conversation. And you're the one who started it, and you mentioned a song where you say unakata maji na kejani kwako maji mekatwa. I mean, do we even have a support system as young people to talk about these realities? Do we have friends you can come to and tell them, Frasha nyewe wewe nimefinywa mbaya?
Funny enough, this COVID period has taught us that this generation, we have no friends. And the problem is that the people that we hang out with have the same problems that you have. Na saa zile hamna pesa, nyote hamna pesa. So I think for me, the social media inatupanisha watu sana, especially the guys from mtaani. You'll find that there are people who their parents have at least gotten their families to a certain point, and then when beste yangu na mimi msewa mtaani, and I try and show off the things you're trying to show off, not try to live the same, not knowing that the backing that you have and the backing that I have are totally different. And since you said something about the process, people don't understand the process nowadays, and that's why unapata. I have friends that I've seen them grow. They are richer than me right now, but I know the kind of work that I do and whatever they are doing are totally different things. Na niko sure mali wanatoa pesa yao, see, it's not legit because there is so much pressure on people to live a certain way because of the certain people that are around them, that they forget who they are, they forget their homes, they forget their parents. They forget their surroundings. So I think for me, social media imepea watu pressure more mpaka unajisahau wewe mwenyewe, where you came from, who your parents are. So ingine parent wako akikuona kwa social media anashangaa kama ni wewe, if you're the son or daughter that they're raising, because how you're living hata yeye mwenyewe hawezi ishi hivyo.
No, see, so then now I see you trying to figure that out, and you're the one who also mentioned this issue of when you go out there, you don't want to look like you want to seal a 1 million shilling deal while you can't handle 100 shillings. So isn't that where the pressure begins? Because then people feel that they need to look a certain way, and that in itself is relative. There's no standard of looking like you can handle 1 million and looking like you can handle 1,000. So sometimes people go overboard.
Yeah, so there's a very thin line on knowing where to balance. But let me tell you, and I'm going to be very honest, some of these careers, and Frasha can test this, that we are in, that's the nature of the job. And it comes with the job. And Frasha can attest this, an artist who drives sometimes will be paid better than artist who hawks. And it's because of how they look. Because you're like, hey, if he quotes X amount, probably he needs to, fuel that car and all those. There's a perception that is there. But like I said, find out about what is behind all that. Like, I am not very far from a millennial. I'm not announcing my age on TV, but I'm not very far. I remember when I was in this industry, I could see some things that I was not comprehending. And what I could sit down and ask, so how did you get that car to shoot that video? And Frasha can tell this because I've worked in labels, in house, I've worked with Lucas, I've worked with these places, and you will know, you will get deals because of where the video is going to be played or not. So if probably I was bawling in those cars and someone saw me and they'd be like, we are your mocha. But in real sense, that car has been given by a certain car company, you should take back. And understand the business, what it is, my friend. It is the show business. Even some of these influencers who are giving you pressure traveling across the world, my friend, actually it's a job because they have to justify. So you are there, you're their customer. Ukiona wewe ni biashara. So it is
bana unachomea wasanii sana bana.
But is that the reality, Frasha? I mean, do you have to hire these planes and also do some videos just to prove that you're okay, in as much as it's not really what you can afford?
Unfortunately, it's true. Unfortunately, it's true. Most of the things that we use in the videos, most of the lifestyles that we show are fake. And mostly it's show business, as I said. People try to show some things that are not there, and unfortunately the young generation picks them up, and maybe they don't have people like us to, tell them that showbiz, it's just biashara. It's just, for me, I take my showbiz as acting. What the Frasha who's out there, when I come home, I'm not Frasha anymore. Frasha nakuwaga huko nje. I become a parent, I become a physiotherapist, I become another person once I'm here. But sasa niko kwa TV, unaweza ona huyu jamaa useme, inataka kuwa kama Frasha. My friend, it's a struggle after all these years.
Okay. And Pastor Kiama, the issue here we are delving into is now perception, yeah? And
Yeah.
even from, you mentioned a purposeful life. What does a purposeful life look like?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, let me make a comment about artists, social media, socialites, all of those. The people that we look up to, the people with 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers, 1 million followers. I don't know what the highest number is. 300 million followers right now. Those kinds of people are the vast minority. We can't all be like those people, and social media creates this make-believe world where these people live, and they're always happy, they always look so fine until something happens, and either they come out clean or they have to reorganize their lives and go somewhere and just sort their lives out, or unfortunately when some of them pass away and you have to get the real story at the end of the day. So I think the drive for us really should be to live a purposeful life. And you ask what that is. I think a purposeful life is a life where we have meaningful relationships. And again, what do I mean meaningful relationships? Not perfect relationships. No relationships are perfect. But relationships where we can live our lives together and share our lives together. Just like what Fasha said, it is important for us to have friends that we can say, look, things are really difficult right now. And I want to, I'm really feeling discouraged, and, I want to go drink this, or I want to go do that. And someone who will be able to be honest enough to say, no, don't do that. Hold on. Can I come where you are right now? Can we sit down and can we talk? So meaningful relationships, that's one thing. A purposeful life also includes, something that you're doing that is bigger than yourself. What are those things? Are you involved in people outside of yourself rather than just amassing wealth for yourself, or getting that car or the next house or the next thing? What is it that you're living for that goes beyond yourself? Are you helping some poor people somewhere? Are you educating some people? Are you making life comfortable for your aging parents? Are there some cousins in Shag who look up to you and you can go back and really build their lives? And then a spiritual life. What is the overarching value or value system that guides you? And that's absolutely important, because that's what gives the foundation for all of these other things. Now, we can try to be good people, but trying to be a good person, we all know, as a human being, there's a brokenness in me that tends to move me away from what is the right thing, thinking the right thing, saying the right things, and so on. And so religion is what gives us that foundation, or that world view, which, a framework which helps us to hang all these things together. And as a Christian, for me, it's my faith in Christ. My faith in Christ is what will tell me this is what I need to do. This is how I need to do it. This is how I parent my children. This is how I model, life for others. I have people who look up to me, people who are younger than me, and people who are younger than those who are younger than me. How am I living my life? Am I living my life in a way that adds value to them? And again, to go back to what was said before, you're right. It's this world, especially the social media world, is a business. But then, when we come out of the business, is there someone who is telling us what how we need to be living our life? And I think, my Christian faith offers a very good guide for that. And again, offers me the guide to be a model to other people as well. So that, for me, is what a purposeful life is. And a purposeful life is something that is a process, very much like what has been what has been said all along. It is not something that you arrive, the day you make a decision. Okay, today I'm going to be a committed Christian. It is something that you live over time. You live over time. You go into the Holy Scriptures. You read them for yourself. Yeah. You enter into a community where you are able to learn together with others, and then live together with others and get held accountable.
Yeah. And Frasha, speaking of community that Pastor Kiama is talking about, is that where we are missing it as the young generation? Is it a lack of parental guidance, a lack of a proper social network or community system? Because, you know, back in the day when our parents were growing up, there was always a social class where you grow up almost together. You go through circumcision together. There's some way, there are some values you're taught at every given stage. Now, it's free for all.
So hizi classes ziko kwa club na apartments. I think this COVID time has really changed, and I think this is the highest that parents have been tested in terms of parenthood. I agree with Pasi when he says that we cannot all of us be the same. Hatuwezi kuwa sote master. And the problem is people, wale watu wako kwa mashinani, people wale wako huko chini, you find that they lack mentors. Mtu vile unasikia vile Pasi anaongea nikikaa na yeye, at my age, he can teach me a lot, unaona. But the young guys, wao ni mabesti wa wao. Millennials are friends to other millennials, and they don't like listening to, you know, to other people. Watakagi mtu atamwambia don't do this. Wanataka mtu anamwambia kama ni saa ya, unajua, this generation is generation ya mangwai manini, the way wakumwok hizo mavitu zao. Sasa wanapiga hizo vitu zao, they don't want to be told, you see. And for me, I think parenthood needs to change because of the kind of conditions that we have. Watu wetu wanareziwa more na social media than the parents, and they listen more to artists. Mi leo naweza amka na wazimu yangu tu niekele na watu wengine waichukue, you know.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to, I think, change the way we used to parent. Ndio watu walikuwa wana when we were growing up, mshipi ilikuwa ni kama second language yangu. But now, you know, it's different. So we need, and then social media has exposed our kids more to everything, knowledge, to good things or bad things. Social media has exposed even our families. Unapataga kama mimi mtu ajai niona, lakini I've tried to hide my family because that's the kind of personality I have. But most of the celebrities, utajua mtu wao, utajua mahali walienda, watoto wao mahali walikuwa, walikula nini, what is happening in their families, which for me is a bit risky for a parent if you're raising your kids to expose them, because you never know who's outside there, nani anaangalia, and you never know the intentions of people.
Yeah. No, is that a fair assessment? Because when Frasha says saizi warazi wanamuok, you know, it's a click. They don't they don't know what's going on, and they guide themselves, and sometimes they are also misguided. There's no trickle down effect from the generation that has sort of gone ahead, understood what is going on, and nobody is giving them, is shining the light for them. They're just winging it as they go. Wanamuok, as Frasha says.
So I feel like we really struggle with it's mentorship or guidance. I think I don't know whether it's just here or it's just, I don't know, because there's like the way Frasha has said, these are tough times. It's not the way our parents parented us. Like I remember I was telling someone, I don't think really I struggled with an issue of makeup or issue of anything like that. But now, a 3-year-old girl, a small girl knows a lipstick or anything like that. Some of us saw those things when we came from the village, you know, but now things are so different, and we need, I think those who have gone ahead and are close, like me, I understand these things. I think it's upon me to take a role and decide if I see someone who looks like they are lost in a certain way, and take it upon myself and say, you know what, let me try and shed some light. Because again, you know, as much as we are in an age where we want to parent in a tough way, also it is a tough time, and parents are sort of distracted when it comes to parenting. But you can't be distracted when you're a parent. As in, just sit down and like affirming your girl when they are young. You're beautiful the way you are okay, you know, and making them, and like the way I've said outrightly here, and tell them, you see the way your mother used to tell you, and go trick and go do whatever. Just tell them, those social media people, the way they do, that is business. Just be plainly outright. I was talking to a parent who is a close friend of mine, and he has parented 3 teenagers now. and the last born is like about to turn 18. And he told me the way he's doing it with the last one is very different, because he allowed some sort of freedom with the two, the firstborns. But this third one, he had to do it differently. No phone until you're 18. So when a meeting, and he has to send the M-Pesa to the house girl to go and withdraw and give her. If you need takeout, being very, very, very strict. And he told me he has to do it because he has seen the way the two there was harm. So he said this time round, you're being picked, you're being dropped to school, no phone that you can, no, nothing like that. So it is a time to parent differently, because these times are different. Kama nukanyagisha mguu chini, tough love.
Amekwetu kibocation basi, like Frasha said, unajua belt haiko inakaa mbali, ni kupigwo.
Boss. I think your kipigo ilikuwa poa.
Yeah.
I think although it instills some sort of fear, but where if you think about, like, I remember people were leading strikes in school, and I thought to myself, if my father catches me in that strike, I
Pastor Kiama, now,
yeah.
we've now gotten into the issue of parenting in the 21st century. As some of us were growing up, tulikuwa tunavaliwa ile kupigwa ile proper, that you would know that if this ever got to my parents, I will be as good as dead. In fact, you would try as much as possible to come in very late so that you're not beaten in front of everyone else. But is this time that we sort of reset this and go that corporal punishment way, or the reality is now different?
Yeah, let me make a couple. I think Nonsizi has made some very, very important comments over there that I don't think we need to go, really quickly over them. I think the first one is mentorship. Mentorship is absolutely critical. I think if you a long time ago, when we grew up, there were mentors everywhere. Everybody was uncle, everybody was auntie, and they could speak into our lives. In fact, if they needed to, they could discipline. So there's a place where we who are older need to begin thinking about how to speak with younger people. But to come back to the question of parenting,
yeah,
I think we are all raised up as parents. We were all raised up by parents who somehow had a social structure that taught them how to parent, and they parented the way they did. The belt. Even me, I had intimate moments with that belt, and that's how it was done then. And our parents didn't know what they were doing at the time, but they just modeled what was modeled for them. Now, when we grew up, I'm at the age where, my peers, I have teenage children, and some of my peers also are people in their 20s, up to their mid-20s. Again, that dates me a little bit. But, when we are parenting, we say, well, we don't want you to have a hard life the way we did. So there are three kinds of parenting. That's, you just leave them, let them grow up like weeds. The ones which grow up, the ones which don't grow up. There's a second kind of parenting, which especially us as a middle class, we raise our kids. It's called child-centered, child-oriented parenting. Mtoto akililia fudge cake, unamnunulia fudge cake. Mtoto akililia iPad, ndio hiyo, But then there's, I think, a higher level of parenting, which is what our parents were attempting, and that is the parent-directed parenting. And that is, a parenting that is intentional, that is deliberate, where, the children do not raise themselves up. They are not raised up by social media. You take an active role in doing that. And as I'm saying this, men, again, Nonsizi mentioned, said something. If my father found me there, there's a need for the men in society now to rise up and become the fathers. I think they've been very laissez-faire, and it's the moms who have really raised up the kids. We need to see more dads, whether you are a dad of a kid or, you are a man in society. rising up to be intentional about your parenting. Sometimes in the neighborhood I'm walking around and kids are just messing around, and everyone, could be talking to them. But when I talk to them as a man, somehow they hear me in a different sort of way. And I think we need for men to rise up. And so there's a need for intentional parenting, where, we don't just let kids raise themselves up, or kids raise themselves. When kids ask for stuff, they don't have the wisdom. We need to direct that process. We need, I'm a traditionalist and firm believer that children should not get phones before they are a certain age. Kids should have supervised social media access. And it's very unpopular. But the truth of the matter is that, like Frasha was saying, this thing is falling apart. COVID has demonstrated that this thing is falling apart. And at some point, someone needs to come up and say, look, if phones are not doing it, take back the phones, throw them away. Don't pay, for internet. Limit the internet. In my house, I limit the internet. You can't do internet after a certain time. That's just how it is. So people need to be intentional about their parenting. Let me make a comment here for our listeners. And someone might be saying, look, I want to be intentional about my parenting, but I don't even know where to start. There are places where you can learn this. Go to Transform Nations online, Google it online. They're going to teach you, parents of boys, parents of girls. They have a program there. Go to ICC. They have a program for parenting. That's ICC Church. Go to Nairobi Chapel. They have parents. By the way, even if you're not a church person, even if you're a Muslim, you just want to learn how to be a good parent, go there. Come to our church, Mavuno. We run again parenting programs. In fact, we are running them online now.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know how to do it, go to someone who can teach you. There's a I think it's a website or something on Facebook called Intentional Parenting. There's a lady there called Rosalind who's doing a fantastic job. She does videos, she does programs. The thing is, if you don't know how to do it, I did it 3 times.
Yeah. And
I teach the course, by the way. I had to do it for myself. Before my kids were born, when my kids were born, after they were born, I realized, I need to do this thing again. I went back and did it.
Okay, I have to take a quick break here. When we come back, I'd like to hear Nonsinzi and Frasha's style of parenting, because Kiama now limits the internet and also curtails people on phones. We'll find out what their style is right after the break. Keep your views coming as well at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. We'll sample some of them during this broadcast. All right, let's continue the discussion. We're talking about the need to floss, reality versus what you see online. Frasha is with me still. Agnes Nonsinzi is with me as well, and Pastor Kiama. And Frasha, we're coming to you. We're now talking about the issue of parenting. What do you think is your style of parenting? Pastor Kiama limits the internet. There's no phones until a certain age. Does that really help, or they'll still just access the same from the neighbor?
So I have 3 kids. I've been married for 17 years, and my firstborn is 17 years. My secondborn is 14 years, and I can tell you for a fact, I think prayers za mama yangu bado zinakuwa zimenifunika mpaka wa leo, because the biggest problem I have in this house is internet. Afadhali ukose mkate, but internet iran. And this is a challenge that I've had raising my kids, because ever since unajua zamani walikuwa wanakuja wanatoka wanaenda, all this time, all through, the fight has been internet. And so what we did is my wife actually showed me an app that we can be able to control and see what they watch. Whatever they're doing on their phones, we can be able to watch. And I think after they knew that we are able to watch, I think this has controlled their use, and it has made them more responsible. Okay. But I think that was the biggest issue that we had as for me in parenting. The other thing that I think has really changed is playtime, because now at the age they are, they don't want to go and play outside. It's not like the small boy who wants to go out or play. They want to stay inside, and if they have to go out, lazima waende mahali wakakae wapige hizo mapicha zao. Same thing on social media. And so I had to limit and see how I can balance schooling in the house, and also them have some time for them to be able to go out and see, do things outside. So it has been really challenging for me. And I'm telling you, most of the young guys have been challenged. And it's very important, I think, what Pastor Kiama said, that they have a program, because parenting has no manual. For me nafanyaga vile I feel. Saa ingine I know I make mistakes, but it's because I don't have something to guide me. Na saa ingine napataga ile ukalia babangu napata ifanyi kazi na narudi tena ile makelele ya madhe na pia ifanyi kazi. So I think if there are places where we can get out, and I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of young men in this country that I think have a challenge in terms of bringing up their kids.
Nonsinzi was shocked when you mentioned 17 years, because Nonsinzi herself is 17 years. Nonsinzi, how do you handle it? What is your style? What's your style, Nonsinzi?
At least my boy is young. Well, he's 5, so him being indoors is annoying. So at least I'm glad we're at an age where he can go outside, play with the bike. Me, actually, I'm gonna say I'm not doing online classes, because teaching is not for the weak. Those online classes, I was like, you know what? He will still go to university because he's at a course akona uni juu skip mwaka moja juu ya COVID. That have been said. There are some of his friends who have phones. So I remember he came and there's like, X has it was an iPad or a phone. I was like, okay, that's good, but that's X's house and that's how they operate. And this is my house, and I was outright. I was like, no, first of all, you don't get a phone. And I don't even have money to get you a phone. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And he understood what I meant. So it is knowing, for me, I really want to do good parenting, because I can say my parents really tried, and you can see how it turned out. I turned out fine.
Yeah.
I really want an honor, because my father was strict. He was overboard, I can say, because guys, even us going, because we were girls and we were 2 girls, so I think he was really scared. And also, I really like living in the village. That's one thing that fight about with my spouse, because I find there are many activities. They are tired. Like now, when we've lived sort of close to a village for a very long time, and he remembers those things. When you wake up and go out and play out there are many distractions as opposed to just being in apartments and blocks. So for me, that's one thing that I really find, I think, therapeutic for me and for the children, if they're near where they're distracted. Like even if they can go and douche in the river. Okay, now we are paying for swimming, but when the 2 can do too, they don't have. And when they're tired, you feel like he comes home, he just blacks out. Even when you want to watch a cartoon up to around what time, you don't have those fights of no TV. By the time he's finishing dinner, he has blacked out. But I know now, as age advances, I will need those. I've done a few of the classes that as he's talking about.
Yeah.
And something, I was seeing parents of teenagers say things. I was like, "Hi, now me, how will I handle that?"
Okay. A friend of mine called Barry Losian told me that the first thing in the village when people wake up is they open the door. Here in Nairobi, we keep children in cells. There's no opening the door when there's daybreak, usiku, it's all closed throughout. But Pastor Kiama, let's talk about religion now. There was a time when religion was more of a moral compass for the younger people who are growing up now. But we've seen an issue where religion is now almost conforming to the ways of the youth rather than the other way around. So should religion conform to the ways of the youth, or should the youth conform to the ways of the church?
Well, I don't think the two are separated. The function of religion in society is to help people live their lives within society. So there shouldn't actually be a dichotomy between the church and the society or youth culture. And to go back to what you just said, I think the church needs to be aware of what life is, normal life is in society, but then also it needs to hold up a standard. And so my hope is that one is able to find a church, because my religion is Christianity, and so one is able to find a church that is able to adequately raise up that standard. Not all religious institutions do that. Not all churches do that. There's some that have sort of bought into that whole show business thing. But there are many. In fact, there are many more churches that are actually holding up that standard, a standard of what we say in Christianity, a standard of righteousness, living righteousness in society. Well, just on the idea, for example, of parenting, many of the intentional parenting organizations that I know are actually Christian oriented. They're churches that are raising up a standard in the area of parenting. And just to answer Frasha for a moment, where do you find a raised up standard in parenting? Where do you find that place where you can learn about parenting? Frasha, if you want, you and you say you're speaking for many men, for all the men that you're speaking for, listening to this right now, go to transform-nations.net. Transform-nations.net. You're going to find other men there learning how to be good mentors to other men, being good mentors to young men, to parent society. Because as men, we need to parent society. We have a role to play in parenting society. Not just leave it to the ladies, but we need to do it. Our forefathers did it. We need to rise up to the challenge. Trevor, raising up a standard for parenting. There's an organization called intentionalparenting.co.ke.
Yeah.
These are people, again, it's Christian. These are Christians raising a standard, and people saying, there's a standard of righteousness in life that we live. Go to church. There are programs like, for example, at Mavuno we have a program called LEA, and you can find that in mavunochurch.org, raising up that standard. And so the church should be aware of society.
Okay.
The church should listen to society, but it cannot conform to society, but should raise up a standard in society, a standard of righteousness.
All right, we're running out of time here, but I'll give you guys a minute each for closing remarks. Nonsinzi, I'll start with you.
So, all I can say to the young is that don't believe everything that you see on the internet. And like what Percy said, what you see on the internet is like a quarter or even an eighth of the world. There's a whole world there out waiting for you. And there are people who are not on Instagram, on social media, and they're doing just fine. They're living lives okay. And social media is not the life. There's a whole life out there. And again, trust the process. Find out that person that you really eye a lot. That person that you want to be. What have they been through? How did they achieve that A, B, C, D? And then once you do that, and then seek help. Seek help from older people who are sane, because now we have people who are not sane. But seek help from people who can be able to guide you in a way that is right. Yeah. And imagine, we turned out fine. We shall be fine. We shall be fine. To all the parents, there's no manual. But there are programs like Percy has said, and we shall be fine.
Okay. Frasha?
For me, to the young guys, if you want to know social media is fake, you'll never see a person crying. Amejipiga picha, akilia, at any sad moments of my life, everybody on social media, on IG, they're always smiling. Mtu na smile yake, ako mahali pasafi. Sijaona mtu amepiga mahali analala, bedsheet kama imeraruka. They will not show you that. So it's a fake life. So whatever you are, just live your life the way you are. If you're, naona pia madem squeezy wanaanza sijui bleach, weave, sijui makeup. you are just created fine. Uko tu sawa, acha kujiepea pressure juu unaangalia unaona kama mimi saizi kwa TV na ka black kushinda nonsense vibaya sana. Sijui ni lighting ama
Aje nilikuwa nashanga nikwambie kitu ama nikanyagie lakini ni sawa na that ndio umeisema.
Sasa kama nimekula juma ka ingine black. But anyway, as in, just be who you are, you know.
Yeah.
Nipendeni hivyo vile nimepiga chako lapo hivyo ndio niko, nichukueni venye niko tu.
Wazi Frasha. And Pasi, closing remarks on this.
Frasha uko poa vile uko. Well, what I would say is, to the young people, I think, Ronzizi, Frasha have said it all. You are created the way you have been created. You have something to offer the world, and trying to imitate someone else might actually hinder what you have to offer the world. So look within yourself, look within what you've been given, and bring it out. Your face, your skin, your body, everything. Present it back to the world. You don't have to be like someone else. For the parents, be intentional. Mambo ya, children raising themselves up or, child-oriented parenting, hiyo kitu itakuja kutusink. So I think we need to be intentional. I've given you programs out there. Those are not the only ones. There are many out there. Na ikishindikana, go back, Shags. Go sit down with someone older, and sit down and say, okay, so what did you do well? What mistakes did you make? And how can I learn from that? Right. Now, above everything else, God is the one who gives us the manual. Tuko na Bible. We have got something that we can go back to, and that can, give us a guide. And it's there for us, and it's for free. Okay. We don't have to pay for that one. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Pastor Kiao Mugambi from Mavuno Church. Asante sana. Agnes Nsinzi, award-winning publicist and media practitioner. Thank you so much. And Frasha Mimkare, I had to do that. And recording artist, thank you so much for the time this morning. Let's bring up some of your feedback real quick before we bring in Roy T-Boy on the decks. We have some of you have tweeted in at Citizen TV Kenya. Trevor Mbija. Jacob Abere says, today's generation, not only young people, but across cut age groups, we have seen them living an Instagram lifestyle, and they are fueled by their spiritual fathers, socialites of unknown wealth, or people of the underworld. All right. Let's see what else you're saying here. Njenga Kung says, Trevor, it's parents to blame. Bringing up their kids nowadays is one thing. They bring up kids without giving them the right standard for a disciplined life. All right. Thank you so much for your feedback.